Let go of control. Trust the flow. Have you ever tried so hard to control everything that you forgot how to live? Let me ask you something strange. A poor father throws all his savings into a river and calls it a gift. Crazy, right? But that moment, that single act of surrender, ended up saving his entire family. Now, ask yourself, would you ever give away everything just to trust the flow? Or are you still holding on to what's already slipping through your fingers? Tenzin in the dry well, in a forgotten corner of the Himalayas, where the clouds kiss the mountains, there lived a man named Tenzin. He wasn't rich, he didn't own land, he didn't have power, but he had something most people lost a long time ago: faith. Tenzin lived with his blind daughter, Lamo, and his quiet, gentle wife, Sarah. They owned nothing but a small hut, a cracked water pot, and a half-dead garden that clung to the dry earth, like a prayer refusing to be silenced. One summer, the rain stopped. Completely, the village well, the only source of water, began to dry up. Each day, people lined up, bucket after bucket, hoping the earth would be kind. But hope faded. One by one, villagers packed their belongings, left their homes, and disappeared down the mountain trails in search of a better place. Tenzin stayed. When asked why, he simply smiled and said, "I don't chase the river. I trust it will find me when I'm still enough." The villagers laughed, called him a fool, told him he would starve. But every morning, Tenzin walked for hours to a distant spring, filled his pot, and returned home just to water the single lemon tree in his yard. Every single day. His wife cried quietly at night. His daughter whispered, "Father, why do you fight so hard for something that's already gone?" And Tenzin, he didn't answer right away. He placed his hand over her heart and whispered, "As long as this still beats, there is something worth watering." One evening, a group of strangers arrived in the village. They were engineers surveying the land. A large company had discovered a rare underground water source deep beneath the soil, beneath Tenzin's garden. It was enough to supply not only his family, but to rebuild the entire village. They offered him money, more than he could ever dream of. But Tenzin didn't smile. He walked to the tree, now blooming with tiny yellow lemons, touched its leaves, and said only this: "The river was always flowing. We just stopped listening." News spread. The villagers returned. The well filled again. The garden thrived. And Tenzin became a quiet legend, not because he conquered anything, but because he surrendered completely. Because he didn't try to control the rain or the soil or even the outcome. He just showed up, watered the tree, trusted the flow. And in doing so, he saved them all. Why do we suffer when we try to control everything? Why do we grasp, cling, chase, demand? Because deep inside, we're afraid. Afraid of uncertainty, afraid of letting go, afraid that if we don't hold on, everything will fall apart. But here's the truth. It's not the letting go that causes the pain. It's the resistance to letting go that breaks us. In Buddhist teachings, the root of suffering is attachment, not love, not compassion, but attachment to how things should be. When you cling to outcomes, you plant the seed of frustration. When you demand control, you block the flow of life. Tenzin didn't control the weather. He didn't beg the rain. He didn't curse the drought. He simply kept showing up with water, with faith, with presence, That is mindfulness. That is Dharma in action. Sometimes karma is not about punishment or reward. It's about timing and trust. You water the tree not because it bears fruit immediately, but because it's the right thing to do. You show up for someone not because they'll thank you, but because love is a duty, not a deal. You speak kindly not because it'll always come back, but because kindness is who you are, not a strategy. Now pause. Ask yourself, what are you holding on to that you need to release? A person, a past wound, a plan that's not unfolding? If the universe is saying, not yet, do you fight harder or do you learn to wait with grace? We live in a world obsessed with speed, growth, results. But the Buddha taught, peace comes not from getting what you want, but from letting go of what you don't need. Just like Tenzin, we must learn the art of surrender. Surrender is not weakness. It is clarity. It is the moment we finally say, I do not control the river, but I can trust its current, even in pain, even in loss, even when we don't understand. Because sometimes, letting go is not the end of the story. It's where real life begins. What if life delays what you want because it's preparing what you actually need? Do you think surrender is giving up, or is it waking up? Share one thing you're ready to release in the comments. Sometimes, you just have to let go, not because you gave up, but because you finally understood. You were never meant to carry it all. You were never meant to fix every problem, please every person, control every outcome. Life is not a puzzle to solve. It's a mystery to walk through with grace. You've heard the story of Tenzin. But now the question is, what's your story? What tree are you still watering, even when nothing seems to grow? What burden are you still carrying, hoping it will finally give you peace? Maybe today is the day you put it down. Maybe today you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what am I meant to learn from this? Because the truth is, we don't find peace by controlling the storm. We find peace by learning to stand still inside it. So here's what I invite you to do. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask your heart, what can I release today? A fear? A name? A future that never came? Let it go. Let it flow. Let it become something beautiful. And when you've done that, come back here in the comments. Tell us, what did you choose to surrender? Not for us, not for views, but for you. Because your story might become someone else's survival. And before you scroll away, share this video, subscribe if your soul felt seen, tag someone who needs to hear this. You never know. Your act of surrender might be someone else's beginning.